A fresh investigation into Nvidia by the Department of Justice has been one of the main reasons why about $300 billion of its market cap has been wiped out in about a week. Now, this is very big news to cover because a lot of speculators, this includes corporations who leverage Nvidia's chips like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon, to question in being so involved with AI and spending so much money on this particular area. Now, this also includes cryptocurrencies, because ultimately whatever happens in the real Web 2 world will definitely impact crypto to a order of magnitude. And if we can kind of begin seeing the cracks in the AI bubble already, and this funding begin to squeeze, tighten, and contract, it could mean that crypto AI altcoins might not do as well this bull run. I want to cover the news surrounding Nvidia and AI altcoins today objectively and give you my thoughts on this as well. Now, also, if you're someone who holds AAVE, there's been some huge news recently because Donald Trump, he's launching a new coin, possibly on AAVE. We've got news on PYTH, we've got news on ASI, Manta, and a whole bunch more. Stay tuned, guys. You don't want to be falling behind on crypto news. At least right now, it's crunch time. Make sure you subscribe with the bell notification on to never miss one of these videos, and hit that like button as well, and let's get into it. Like I said, Nvidia's lost about $300 billion this last week in total market cap size, down about 10%. It actually was down a little bit more than this recently as well. But most of the stock market took a bit of a beating because of a few different macro reasons, okay? But for the most part, Nvidia definitely shook up the market, and here's some of the reasons why, okay? Like I said, $300 billion US, that is, was almost wiped out in its stock valuation. This is because of fresh warnings that AI's promise to rewire global economies was far from being realized, making it hard to justify lofty valuations. This was predominantly on the back of its earnings report. The earnings report just simply didn't come back as promising as what it was expected to be, and we are trending down slightly in the earnings report, valuations basically on Nvidia over time. We'll look at some of these charts here in a second, but ultimately people just are kind of following the trend and going, well, if we keep up at this pace, it's going to be dwindling down. Is AI, or at least the bubble of AI, as big as what we are kind of making it out to be? Sort of like the dot-com bubble, but I guess more progressive and over time. Also, we had JP Morgan and BlackRock chip in and say, hey guys, we're focusing on AI here in terms of months and quarters. This development, this new technology has been, out for 2-3 years now. We need to be looking for a few more years down the line before this becomes really viable. And actually, we have some news here later on regarding Fetch or ASI, and you begin realizing that most of the products on offer for AI really aren't as amazing, at least in the decentralized crypto world, as what we kind of really hope there to be. There definitely is some speculative bubble price action going on. Now, Nvidia also had a subpoena from the Department of Justice recently as well. This is huge news because, of course, people are slightly panicking. Again, a market is just psychology, people versus people, and whatever they're perceived to be good or bad news, they're always going to, interrupt trading, I guess, or price action. Officials are concerned that the chip maker is making it harder to switch to other suppliers and penalizes buyers that do not exclusively use its artificial intelligence chips. So there was a few of its competitors made complaints about that. This is the main reason why they're actually going in and looking to dive into the paperwork to see if really they are doing these malicious things. So look, it also is important to note as well that Nvidia's shares are still up 141% so far this year. So like this report also covers, and I will get more into this as well in a moment here, the whole idea that Nvidia is not meeting standards in terms of its revenue, okay, is the main reason why people are beginning to question the AI narrative. And this is important for us crypto investors to look at because, like I kind of alluded to before, ultimately the success of AI altcoins are pivoted and tied to what happens in the real world AI movement, okay? If this bubble sort of not even pops, but just simply contracts where spending begins to diminish, it may have a follow-through effect to crypto as well. The forecast could stroke fresh concerns about slow payoffs from generative AI investments, which some investors fear could lead tech giants to rethink the billions of dollars they are spending on data centers. These concerns have sent ripples to the AI rally in recent weeks. So this includes Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Meta, okay? They're all expected to incur more than $200 billion in capital expenditures in 2024 for building AI infrastructure, okay? So this is your infrastructure projects also focusing on generative AI. Prime example of this is Fetch or ASI and Render. It's a reflection of growing investor jitters about the long-term viability of generative AI market, with the entire market seemingly hinging on Nvidia's performance. And that's ultimately what it is. We're all sort of hinging on Nvidia's performance. And like I said before, this is the chart that kind of shows the revenue growth, right? It is decelerating. It doesn't mean it can't go back up again, but again, those investors' sort of fears are beginning to mature, I think, and get larger. But ultimately, what's my opinion? Well, guys, if we zoom out here in a second, again, like we can look at fundamentals and data, which I'll have a look here momentarily, but it all does come down to what's happening in the real world. If this bubble pops and everyone's like, well, hey, hang on a second, BlackRock, JP Morgan, they're all right. Okay, let's look to push all of this down the next 3, 4, 5 years. It's still going to do well as a narrative. I firmly do believe it. We're past the sort of point where this can't be a sort of, good narrative of the bull run, but it might not have that really big click, that massive blow-off moment that we're all expecting it sort of to have like DeFi did back in the last cycle, where it just went parabolic. It didn't stop, essentially DeFi summer. So if we're comparing the relative strength here of all the different narratives, which by the way, we do in my Bullrun cheat sheet, available in my private community, well, we have a look at some of the top AI altcoins here, and they're still up 4.5x. This is wrong, right? 341% is a 4.5x, which is quite strong because they've held their own. Same with Deepin, they kind of fall together. Because if we compare this to the biggest narrative of all, memes have actually come down about 3x. Now, memes are more volatile, sure, but I think it goes to show that there is still strength in AI altcoins, and at least right now the crypto market is holding on to hopes, and I firmly still do believe that most of our predictions for these AI coins will go fine. Again, I think after this sort of momentary, let's just say, lull in the AI market is, sort of suppressed, and we begin having these massive earnings reports again, which I think will eventually come so long as the US continues to, decrease interest rates. It should, spruce up the AI market because it's what most people are looking at. Of course, you have a whole bunch of AI developments as well that will really help, push people to use AI in every sense of the word. So now I want to talk about Aave as well, guys. So Aave has had some pretty big news recently. We'll cover the more, basic, or let's just say less impressive news first. Still quite impressive, to be honest with you. Sky Aave Force has now been launched. All right, so Aave is pretty much, moral of the story here, just trying to sort of merge traditional finance and DeFi with a few new products, as well as growing their ecosystem. So this will come into the next news here in a moment. So they're going to start this by integrating USDS and Savings USDS on Aave version 3 with native token rewards, and creating a new Aave market for seamless interactions and exclusive rewards. Now that, to most people, isn't that impressive, and really, that doesn't constitute amazing news for Aave. But it's the first step in the door. All right, they're looking to, again, as they said in here, drive mass adoption and close the gap between DeFi and TradFi, which will begin with this first step. So they're looking to pretty much, make that connection. So that's obviously a pretty important thing to point out because, like I mentioned, most people tend to not so much think in a practical way when it comes to crypto. They like to think of what something could be. And when it comes to Aave, right, this whole meme and dream about we can really connect the two worlds together, and in the next 6 months, maybe they do have an awesome product that enables that to happen. Hedging into that now, I think, is a no-brainer, okay? You kind of have to make these sort of gambles when it comes to the success of a bull run and on a cryptocurrency, right? Kind of betting on your horse based on current and previous news. We also do have, more convincing news, right? So there has been some controversy. Donald Trump is looking to launch a token, and it turns out there's been some chitter-chatter between different parties that he's actually looking to build this on Aave, right? It's a lending protocol. However, there is some controversy around it, not Aave, basically because he's using the same code as a recent lending project that was hacked because of flawed code. And matter of fact, to be even worse, possibly using the same people that built that code as team members in his new project. Now, it looks like he's not going to have a tradable token anyway, so it's all just going to be a governance token. But either way, if it's built on top of Aave, you think about how much attention that'll bring into the project. So that's obviously a big up to Aave. The next bit of news today comes in the form of Pyth Network. Now, it's one of our all-time favorite projects on this channel because it's pretty much one of the major competitors to Chainlink. I think will do very well. Also, major player in the Solana ecosystem. And if we have a look at the pulse check on its KPI page, these guys are making some really big strides. Now, I want to pay close attention here to the total value secured. Right now at $8.1 billion. And you're going to see why this is important to have a look at in a second. Of course, all the other metrics are pretty insane here. 76 connected blockchains. You can see some of the new blockchains added in the last month down here. This page is very intuitive. I mean, you can come through this yourself, kpi.pyth.network. But I want to make, again, special attention here to the TVS. This chart here shows a TVS increase from January 2023, where it basically went sideways, looked very much so like a typical network effects chart where you have no action for a period of time, and then all of a sudden you get to a certain size and a certain network where, you have more and more people begin using it, and it's just gone absolutely exponential ever since. Now, this was way back Q1 of this year, so we've obviously seen an increase since. This was 5.4 billion TVS, now 8.1. But if you compare this to Chainlink, currently at 20 billion TVS, that's pretty impressive. This shows a $4.6 billion total value secured, but again, like we just saw moments ago, it's actually 8.1 billion because of some of the new blockchains that they have brought on the table. Now, again, if you actually have a quick look at this, you can see Chainlink here is on, let's just say, give or take, about 20 different networks, where we have Pyth over here, over 70, almost 80 networks. So, of course, when these networks begin going up and up and up in terms of how much money is being transferred around them, all from, the success of the Bullrun, you're going to have TVS shoot up. It may also get very close to challenging Chainlink. I don't think it will overtake Chainlink, but it could get close enough to be like, this thing's definitely gained a lot more than what we expected here, right? Causing more interest and so on. So we also have this report from July where they actually predicted trading volume to 10x, and it would make sense. You're on more networks, you're on more popular networks for the bull run, you're going to have an increase in demand. Okay, this actually did admittedly come from one of the Pyth team members, so of course he's going to be bullish on his network. Mark Tillerman here says that actually they could 10x if the bull market happens, and he won't be surprised. This is their trading volume. Of course, TVS will increase at a similar, if not more exponential rate as well. So, guys, big stuff for Pyth. We also do have over here Ton collaborating with them as well to enhance their gaming and DeFi. This is big because Ton is a massive player in the bull run, I do think, and given the recent attention with their founder being sort of locked up recently and the, sort of drama around the network on Ton sort of being paused there for a moment, I think once all this subsides, we're going to have net positive interest in that project, which is net positive interest for Pyth. That's the beautiful part about being the middleman, is no matter what happens, you're always going to succeed, which is why I love oracles, why I love interoperability plays as well, and why you have to love bridges. So Fetch has had some pretty big news as well. Now, Fetch, of course, being one of the 3 members in the Artificial Superintelligence Alliance, SingularityNet and also Ocean Protocol are the other 2. They've come together to build this sort of artificial superintelligence collaborative effort where they're going to try to bring out ASI to the world, which is a step above artificial general intelligence, which is a step above of where we are right now. So, this might be a few years, many years in the process, but they are independent still, right? They're not working together exclusively. And so Fetch has recently launched the Innovation Lab, okay? This essentially is an ambassador program, if you will, allowing people to come onto Fetch and build some cool products, sort of, you help us, we'll help you sort of thing. The benefit of being an ambassador to this program is that you get represented in events, you get to build with other developers in their community, access to exclusive resources, networking opportunities, and a whole bunch more sort of stuff that really you and I don't need to know, ultimately. But this is big for the Fetch ecosystem and the Fetch project, ultimately because when you have something like this, okay, you're going to have more robust products, more products even at that, and that's going to allow you to gain more traction, and therefore hopefully price goes this way rather than this way, okay? GameSwift was one of the first Web3 gaming projects to also integrate Fetch AI agents as well. This is new news, but I do want to circle back over to this sort of AI situation, okay, with this innovation lab, because it's very important, I think, for Fetch. Now, maybe call me ignorant, okay, because I don't really have a lot to know specifically about the AI world itself, like really nuanced details. I just know stuff from the macro point of view. But actually, Agentverse, which is their AI agent models, pretty, synonymous with Fetch at this point, actually isn't as robust as what I thought. I went onto their website here and had a look through some of their products. Again, call me ignorant. I'm happy to be called, wrong here. This might be bleeding edge stuff, but ultimately the AI agents aren't that impressive, right? So we have a brand new one over here just launched called Delta 5. The first AI-powered e-commerce platform. That sounds super cool and interesting, but if you have a look, it's pretty much a chat box you have with an AI model. I get it. That's obviously very important, part of the sort of consumer pipeline when using a website these days. But it's for things like booking certain events, or like they say down here, things like transportation, travel arrangements, cleaning, whatever your website specifically does as a product, you can search things. Now, that's obviously cool, but if you come to the products, at least the ones built by Fetch, they aren't that impressive, right? You have the Bosch agent, you have exercise suggestion agent, like pretty basic stuff. You have coin toss, dice roll agent, Alice. I'm guessing this is more of a generalized text box, but you do have some more interesting ones, I must admit. But ultimately, I think where the sort of USP comes in is the community-developed AI products, which is why I think the innovation lab is so important for the success of Fetch. So this is actually some pretty good news, guys, and as well as the GameSwift coming on board as well. That is some pretty interesting stuff as well. Overall, look, I do think this is net positive, as I said, for Fetch. Hopefully in the next 6 to 12 months, as the bull run begins to mature and things on the up and up, and hopefully AI continues to do well, we'll see that something flourishes from this that ultimately allows us to benefit from it now and bet on this horse. Now, just like Fetch, but not quite the same, we have Manta Network with their own ambassador program as well. The difference between these guys and Fetch is that you can actually make money yourself watching this with Manta by just becoming an influencer, if you will, becoming someone who wants to talk about Manta, and you get paid in Manta tokens, okay? So obviously, if you are interested in this project, you can go sign up with this tweet over here on the network and ultimately make some free tokens. Different to Fetch, because Fetch is kind of limited to people who have experience in AI, have degrees, and are heavily involved with being a developer and things like that. So it's a whole different, very niche thing. This is for anyone, okay? So if you are interested in this, go to Manta on Twitter, have a look, and of course, sign up. You might be able to make some free tokens if you do love talking about the project. And that's what I really emphasize here, guys. Make sure you do what you love, all right? I love doing this sort of stuff. I love providing news for you all. And you can do the same thing for Manta and make some money in the meantime, right? So with that being said, thank you for watching today's video. I hope you do enjoy and have enjoyed. And if you have, don't forget, you can support me by hitting that like button. Go down to the vault down below, our private community, guys, because we're giving away $20,000 by just you being in there, not to mention all the other cool features we have in there as well. So I'll leave it up to you. That being said, talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.